Yo, what's up, YouTube? We're back for another video today. This time, we're going to be touching on the new enemies the Illuminates have shown up with. We're going to be talking about the FleshMob, the Interloper, and the Crescent Overseer. We're going to be going over what weapons, tactics, stratagems, support weapons, just basically what I find is working best for me so far after, like, I'd say we're at, like, maybe 30, 35 Illuminate missions. I've been sacrificing my XP per hour to gain as much knowledge as possible, so hopefully you guys appreciate it. First off, we have the FleshMob. This is that big bloater with all of the faces and all the Illuminate vote lists, you know, crammed together. As far as primaries, it's mostly going to be a conversation of the Eruptor. It's by far the best weapon in the primary, and it also competes with a lot of the support weapons, if not is better than a lot of the support weapons as far as killing them. It's 3 shots, basically like belly button crotch area on the bloater FleshMob. Very fast TTK, very consistent, does a little bit of stagger, and honestly it's just extremely powerful, very good. But essentially in general, the enemy seems to be very much weak to just raw durable damage or just high amounts of DPS. They more or less seem to be a enemy that is tied around just like doing as much damage as possible, right? Explosive damage also seems to be very strong. A crossbow is not terrible as far as I've seen. Explosive damage, like from the grenade launcher, is like around 5 shots on average, 5 to 6. It works well. And I think it's mostly because it's splashing damage along all of the hit zones, which is useful. Lighting it on fire is a useful tactic. So for instance, when you use, like, you know, the guard dog laser, if it lights it on fire, you typically only need 2 eruptor shots, for instance, right? Next, going into the more precision weapons, I haven't really been enjoying liking precision weapons versus it, like machine guns and so on and so forth. Mostly because I don't think the eyes actually do all that much other than create a bleed, cause them to be mad and stagger forward. And if you pop enough of them, they will start sprinting at you more often. There's a lot of talk online about that. Like, if you kill all the eyes on the front, get behind them and kill all the eyes on the back, they just die. But I think there's a conversation of correlation or causation, right? Just because you pop all the eyes and they die doesn't necessarily mean popping all the eyes is the reason why they're dying. It could just because you put so many rounds into them to pop all the eyes that they are dying regardless, right? We were doing some tests with the Stalwart in particular and a bunch of the machine guns where all I was doing was just nailing the center mass of the FleshMob, and I was finding that it was around half a mag, a little less than half a mag, to take down the FleshMob. But then if I kind of spread the ammo, the half mag or so, across like all the eyes on the front, and even tried to spray a little bit on the back too, to like break the eyes on the back as well, it was around the same ammo, give or take, right? I feel like if this was really a weak spot, it would be way more evident that destroying the eyes is better. Now, let's assume that you have like a precision weapon and you're just popping all the eyes one by one and you're not doing enough total damage to kill them, and it does in fact end up killing them after you pop all the eyes. I don't even think that's a very good strategy because it takes so long to pop all the eyes because there's so many of them, and you need to get behind them to pop even more. So you're either expending stun grenades to get behind them, you're either using gas grenades just so they can like aimlessly walk away and then you can shoot their back, or you're waiting for them to charge, which is taking even more time, to then wait for them to fail to charge at you and then shoot them in the back. That's a lot of effort. I gotta say, I would rather just bring an explosive weapon, set them on fire. You know, there's quite a few good weapons. As far as stunning though, you know, arc thrower, gas are working. It's just keep in mind, if you are using the arc thrower, every time like a head pops on their body, they will lurch forward. And if you pop enough of them, they kind of get enraged. And you can still stun them after that, but they kind of get animation locked, if that makes sense. So it's not always the best strategy. Gas tends to be the best as far as dealing with like just, you know, dealing with like them as far as like a CC effect. So for the most part, I wouldn't really recommend ballistic weapons as a first, offense. I would mostly do it as like a last resort, or they're already weak. You can go through a lot of different weapons. Basically just raw damage is your friend. It doesn't have to be medium pen. Light pen works fine. Lighting them on fire is powerful. So the two Cookout and Disinterbreaker are very good at it. And then explosive damage obviously is very good for hitting multiple hit zones, as I said earlier. Didn't love the Devil's Sickle too much. I felt like I was doing so much damage to myself, and it took so many shots of them. Pure Fire and Scorcher, obviously quite good as well, like the other explosives. Torture, strong contender. For the most part, I wasn't holding the flame on it. I was more just like lighting it on fire, swapping to something else, or like doing something else, and then lighting it on fire again and letting the burn damage ticket. But yeah, Dominator, high DPS weapon, good as well. All right, secondary weapons wise, I know a lot of people were finding a decent amount of success with Grenade Pistol and Ultimatum. As far as the other weapons, I think Bushwhacker would do fairly well, just raw damage. I don't really see any of the pistols really being that good. I would mostly probably stick to Grenade Launcher Ultimatum if you're trying to take them out, with a little bit of Bushwhacker if you really need it. Dagger, nice honorable mention for lighting the enemy on fire. This could be a good combo for like Eruptor if you want to be a little bit more efficient. Like 2 shots of Eruptor, Dagger afterwards to light them on fire. Not a bad choice. It's kind of a sleeper pick, honestly. For the Flesh Mob, when we're talking about stratagems, I found the machine guns to be fairly good. The MG43 was about 90 to 100 rounds of the total magazine of 175. Stalwart was about half mag. Anti-material rifle was about 2 mags. Don't really recommend it. Anti-tank rocket launcher was typically 2. Don't really recommend using AT weapons in general. Recoilless rifle, did not kill it with the AT. I forgot to test it with the HE round. Let me know down below if it was one-shotting it, but I'm fairly certain it probably doesn't. The HE round feels like it lacks a lot of damage, so I'm kind of certain that it probably doesn't. Flamethrower, honorable mention. It's actually quite good for just lighting it on fire. And honestly, just in general, the fire damage buffs are cooking. Pun intended. They're great for the larger enemies. Just lighting the ground on fire used to be a fairly decent strat to allow enemies to like walk into and catch on fire, but now it's even better. Lighting large enemies so they walk in, even like a Bile Titan, if they walk into your fire, they will be lit on fire. Like even though they're on their tippy toes, they are lit on fire, and it is doing respectable damage. Highly recommend when you're using your flamethrower, aim a little lower at times, light the ground on fire, and then walk backwards. It works. It works well. Autocannon, but don't use armor-piercing rounds. High explosive, the armor-piercing high explosive, use flak. Same kind of thing. Lower torso. It's like 3 to 5 rounds. Very consistent. The only problem is that sometimes other voteless will walk in front, and because it is a proximity det round, they will get in the way and cause it to proximity det early. So just keep that in mind. You might want to wait for them to like clear out other enemies first, or just like, deal with them last, or try to do it like at the right angle so it can go right through all the enemies. It works. Heavy machine gun is about like 50 rounds or so. Pump it up to the highest fire rate. Actually a respectable killer if you're just doing gut shots. Airburst rocket launcher flak rounds work pretty well, but honestly cluster is even better. If you aim just like center mass, majority of the rounds will fall down, and it can kill multiple in one go. Definitely a bit of a sleeper pick, especially since it's an explosive weapon. Does well. Commando works really well for the tripods, but I wasn't really impressed with dealing with the flesh mobs. I think it was 3 rounds on average to kill. Don't recommend using this. Use this for like the tripods and the harvesters. Way better. Railgun, it was too slow. I think it was on average like 4, like 80 to 90% charge shots, sometimes a little more. It just takes so long to get those shots off that I don't really recommend it. There's going to be voteless all over the place. There's going to be overseers like shooting at you. Like, it's just too much shit to bother you while you're trying to shoot at them. It just doesn't work out. Spear doesn't even one-shot it, so ignore it. Wasp, very much a surprise. Maybe not too much of a surprise. It's around 3 to 4 rounds to kill it. Very strong. Don't use the air burst or like the top-down attack, the artillery mode. Use the standard attack. It's about half a mag per kill. Quite good. It's also quite good against like the rest of the enemies, including the Interloper, but we'll get to that afterwards. Gatling Barrage, not the best. It can do chip damage. Air burst, fairly okay. If they stand in it for long enough, they will die to, I think, 2 to 3 barrages. 120 millimeter barrage, they will die, I believe, if a shot hits them directly on, but it's kind of a gamble on whether or not it'll hit them. Same for the 380. It needs to land close enough to one-shot them. So your mileage may vary. Walking barrage, same thing. Laser, not bad. Not gonna say, not bad. Because it's lighting them on fire, it actually has a fairly fast TTK on them. Unfortunately, it's only 3 uses, so keep that in mind. Orbital Napalm Barrage, very good. This thing did not need a buff, but it got a buff with the fire changes. It's nuts. Very good for any of those Illuminate dropships events happening. Throw this right in the middle. The vast majority of voteless, basically everything but the Harvester should die to this thing. It's disgusting. As you already know on other factions, it's still here as well. Rail Cannon, I don't know why you would be using this versus them unless you're on a very low difficulty. Don't really recommend it. Strafing run's okay. Chip damage, not really a consistent killer. Not enough of the actual pellets or the explosions will happen close enough. Maybe you can get like the perfect RNG of like maybe like 3 or 4 of the actual hits land on it and it could kill it in one shot, but it's not reliable. Eagle Strafing Run was surprising, but due to the orientation, it doesn't always work well in the city maps. A lot of the rounds will just hit the buildings, but if you can get in the wide open, you can definitely do a lot of damage and kill quite a few with the Eagle Strike. Cluster, very strong actually. It actually surprised me at times. Spamming this at those hordes of like voteless and the flesh mobs, actually very impressive. Eagle Napalm Strike, solid contender. They probably won't die from it, but they'll be significantly weakened. And just overall, good stratagem for voteless. Jetpack, getting away from them, always strong. Smoke, you can avoid a lot of combat with it. Eagle Smoke's always a solid contender. 110s, I was not impressed. I felt like it just wasn't killing him, even with enough like direct hits. Also, it seemed like it was sometimes landing next to them because of like the wingspan of the Eagle. Sometimes the missiles were landing next to them. Not great. Eagle 500 kg, obviously it's great versus them. But you only get 2 uses, so keep that in mind. Fast recon vehicle, the gun on the back, 50 rounds of the HMG, it's okay. But mostly for like just getting away from the enemies. Gas Strike is fantastic, mostly from a CC perspective and just some chip damage, but very good versus voteless and the flesh mobs in general. Highly recommend. Or BMS, we've already kind of talked about that. It will stun the enemy, but if you break any of the faces, they'll kind of come unstunned. So not great at times. HMG takes a while to kill, but it can work. It's kind of like the rest of the machine guns. It's not the fastest TTK, but it does work. Orbital Smoke, don't recommend this one. Use Eagle Smoke. Shield Generator, they just walk through it. Just ignore it. Tesla Tower was surprising because it does stun them. Like I've been telling you, it does kill them fairly quickly. It's like maybe 5 or 6 zaps, something like that. As long as, you can protect it with maybe gas or like just stunning or like something along those lines, it did perform fairly well, as long as they don't get too close to it. It seems like the flesh mobs don't do that much damage to higher health turrets, so it does survive a fairly long time if they're like gonna stand next to it. But yeah, Tesla Tower actually impressed me. I would kind of recommend. Grenade Launcher, really good. Set it up right in front of like a massive like Illuminate bot drop or Illuminate drop, and it's actually really powerful. Good DPS on this thing. It's like 5 hits to kill. You can kill many at a time. And I've heard reports that they've also fixed it so if the wall breaks, it no longer instantly kills you, which is fantastic. Anti-personnel minefield is pretty good. Not amazing, but it's like pretty good. If they walk through it, they should die, but it's not going to kill a ton of them if they come one at a time. But it's like fairly good. It's not bad. Spy Backpack, quite good for dealing with like adding on to like a grenade launcher or something like that, because grenade launcher does do well. Laser Cannon, another big glow up because of the lighting the enemy on fire. This thing has a fairly good TTK. It's on par with a lot of the machine guns and stuff like that because I think of the fire damage being added. But on top of that, it's unlimited ammo. So this thing, especially on the Widow's Harbor map, because it's cold, it's actually performing quite well. Highly recommend checking out the Laser Cannon. We're going to mention it later with the Interloper. It's also doing well there. Incendiary Mines, fairly good. Similar to the anti-personnel mines, though. It's going to be mostly lighting them on fire. It should kill quite a few walking through it. Hopefully, if they're not going too fast. If they're full sprinting, they won't be standing in the fire very long and maybe not activate that many mines. Guard Dog Rover, if you guys haven't heard, the guard dogs in general are a bit bugged at the moment. Anytime they go to reload and they're trying to go to your back, they actually fly to the place where you first picked up the guard dog. So if you're not constantly dropping your guard dog and picking it up, it may fly halfway across the map to go reload. So the reload's really slow. But the Guard Dog Rover is not affected by this. So it's actually a good pickup if you don't want to micromanage where your spawn point of your guard dog is. Also, huge glow up. It's lighting enemies on fire. Like I said earlier with the Eruptor, very good at lighting enemies on fire alongside, using like a Eruptor or something like that, right? Very strong. Ballistic Shield, I don't recommend, but you will absorb some melee attacks. So if you're trying to do like a melee build, I guess Ballistic Shield plus melee, maybe stun lands, maybe. Arc Thrower, not a super consistent stunner, as I was saying earlier, but not terrible. I think Arc Thrower is good enough in the vast majority of situations that it's like fairly good. Also, if you guys did not hear, it also got a fire rate bump. After like the first 2 rounds, it's actually firing faster than it used to. It's not a massive difference, but if you're someone like me that uses the Arc Thrower quite a bit, it has improved, which is cool. Nice little hidden buff in there, which is pretty cool. Anti-tank mines, they do activate them if I am not mistaken, and they should be one-shot by them. This should be a good one. I'm not 100% because getting them to stand on them and walk over them sometimes didn't work very well. But from what it did look like when an anti-tank mine did blow up next to them, they did get absolutely smushed by it. So it took like 1 to 2 mines, which is pretty good. Quasar, now shield backpack, pretty good if you don't want to get staggered and ragdolled when they're running at you. Gas mines, very good for CC. It's not really going to kill them, but I guess if they stand in enough of the mines, they'll eventually die. But it's very good for just in general CC coverage from those massive hordes that are running at you. Throw this in front of you. It's just a better gas strike in a way at times. Machine gun sentry, fairly decent. It's about like maybe 10 seconds of fire time or so for it to die to it. Not the greatest, but not bad. Galling Sentry is another step above. It's like 5-second kill time or so. This thing actually wrecks them. As long as it's like at a decent distance, it actually chews through them pretty quickly. Mortar Sentry, I don't recommend. Mostly because like the Mortar Sentry is probably going to be inaccurate enough that it's not really going to hit them. But on a defense mission, it'd probably be fairly good. But on a regular mobbing mission, you're just going to kill your teammates more often than not. As we said, I think this thing will be pretty good versus the flesh mobs, but it's broken right now. But it'll be nice additive damage, right? Just because it's like extra DPS while you're doing something. So, yeah. Autocannon, very strong. Good DPS, good explosive damage. So it does rip through them in about, I think it was like 2 to 3 bursts of the autocannon. I think it was closer to 3 on average, or like midway through the third. Rocket Sentry was quite good at sniping them. I think it was around like 5 to 6 rockets to hit them. So fairly good. Just the Rocket Sentry in general, you can throw this like at a decent distance and just expect them to like get sniped over time. You just got to protect her from Voteless. It's very weak against Voteless. EMS Sentry, it's okay for CC. Not the best pick. I think gas is just so powerful right now that EMS doesn't really shine, but it's okay. Patriot Exosuit takes way too many machine gun rounds, and I would not recommend using your rockets on them. I would just avoid using the Patriot Exosuit in general. Emancipator Exosuit was quite strong versus them. They're definitely quite spongy because the Emancipator doesn't have flak, but I think you're looking at like, around like 15 rounds or so to kill one, which is not bad at all. Mechs in general feeling quite good. Sterilizer, pretty good for CC coverage, but obviously you might want to bring like the Laser Guard Dog or the Torture to swap to when they're stunned, just to kind of combo with it, and it works fairly well. Guard Dog, unfortunately, when it reloads, and it does, it will be flying across the map. So when they fix this, I think it'll be quite good for like keeping them at bay when they're running at you. You can at least stagger them and keep them, distant. But for now, I can't really recommend it unless you're doing the drop your backpack strategy. Directional Shield doesn't really do anything, so you can ignore it. Flame Sentry, I wish it just did more damage or some pushback. I love the fact that it's lighting them on fire and doing better damage now, but the flesh mob just walks up to it and starts hitting the sentry, and then the sentry probably won't even kill one, unfortunately, unless you can gas them. If you can throw a gas grenade in front of your flame sentry, your Flame Sentry should do a good amount of damage to them. Anti-tank emplacement does work fairly well, but because it's an emplacement that is not very good versus voteless and not very good against a lot of the enemies that you're going to be dealing with, I can't really recommend it all that much. But if you have an amazing position where you're overwatching, you can kind of snipe them, you know, you're probably killing them within 4 or 5 shots. I don't remember the exact usage because it was someone else who told me, so it's secondhand information. Portable Hellbomb, obviously it's fantastic, but long cooldown. And Hover Pack, pretty good for dodging them and just doing damage from, you know, above. You can use like the grenade launcher to pair with it. Fairly good. One final thing for flesh mobs, I forgot to mention in the video so far, but you can shoot them in the legs and you can eventually remove their leg, but it seemed like it was the exact same amount of damage, give or take, to just shooting the big gut. And while they're walking towards you, you're probably going to miss a bunch of shots because they're, you know, moving the leg and running towards you. So for the most part, I just kind of recommend shooting the gut, center mass, and maybe shooting a couple eyes if you think that the eyes are helping. But yeah, leg shooting, I originally thought when I first started shooting at them would be the weak spot because it was small, hard to hit, but it seems like it takes so many shots. I don't think it actually is. Moving on to the Crescent Overseer. With this one, I would mostly say it's like very similar to your typical Overseer. There's not much different. Their backpacks are largely for show. Shooting their backpack doesn't really do anything. Bullets just fly through. We've tested it quite a few times. But for the most part, what you want to do tactics-wise is get close to them because they go from trying to arc like 5 shots at a time on you to just doing one individual shot at a time, rocket launcher style, like more direct. And you can stagger them quite easily. But it's definitely an enemy that you want to rush and deal with fast rather than let them rain fire down on you. If you can't get close to them, strafing and just maintaining a direction or like trying to watch where they're coming from and dodge does work, but for the most part, try to get to them so you can deal with them. Stagger weapons, anything that staggers fairly consistently would be great here. Medium pen weapons in general, because you know they're an Overseer. Dealing with them by shooting their head if you have a medium pen weapon like Liberated Penetrator. I know a lot of people are leveling Liberated Penetrator right now. It's fantastic. You know, your Eruptor, shoot them like legs area, maybe crotch area, and you should one-shot them fairly consistently with the Eruptor. 2 shots from, you know, a crossbow. Purifiers, 2 shots as well if they're fully charged. Scorcher's always a solid option for like auto rifle enjoyers. You know, you can just do straight body shots. If you have a light pen weapon, just pick a body part and shoot that one body part, because you break the armor and then shoot the squishy underbelly as you will. But you know, in short, it's basically just another Overseer, just with a different weapon. So try and rush them, get close to them. They become a lot less threatening to you. Lastly, for the Interloper. By the way, for anyone who's like, they're not called Interlopers, they're called Stingrays, actually, streamer. If you queue on them in game, they're called Interlopers. I understand that the patch notes say Stingray. I don't know what you want. I'm just going to call them Cylon Raiders, and then you can bite me. They will be randomly kind of thrown at you. They're not really a mission modifier. I seem to be constellation based to some extent. Some people tell me they run into them all the time. In the making of this video, I was trying to run into them constantly with the Stalwart to just shoot at them, just to test, is there any weak spots for light weapons to shoot? For the most part, no. They are, it seems like, completely medium armored, and I couldn't notice, it's kind of hard, I couldn't notice any particular weak points in general, but I was tending to shoot at the wings just because they were so large, and I was usually underneath, so I wasn't getting many deflections with medium pen weapons, right? So you're definitely going to want to lean towards a medium pen primary of some kind. I found the Eruptor to be fairly good at dealing with them, but because they have a shield, I found the first shot of the Eruptor tended not to kill them. It was always the second shot, because when they do their strafing run, because basically how they work is they come in and they're like, you know, flying around, and then they will paint kind of like on the ground some blue. Just if you see them in front of you, strafe to the left or right. Don't do the Indiana Jones thing and run away from them or towards them. run perpendicular, right? And you will get out of line of fire. And then once you're out of line of fire, that's when you start unloading on them. I tended to just shoot at the wings. That seemed to work very well, and they died very fast. Because they have a shield, though, you're going to have to break the shield, then start doing damage to them. And that's where the Eruptor was a little bit janky, because you need to get a very fast first shot to break the shield, and then a second shot to kill them. But if you did that, if they were full HP, 2 shots was enough. Other things that would work well would be like, you know, Slugger if you can hit them, Counter Sniper if you're just spam firing full auto, or like tap firing as fast as you can. I feel like Deadeye would be pretty good, even though it's a bit of a slower fire rate. Liberated Penetrator would probably take more than 1 pass because it's a lower damage AR, but it should be able to kill them fairly consistently. Adjudicator, same with that one. Dominator would be good. Just remember, it does have a fairly slow projectile speed, similar to the Eruptor, so you may have to lead your target a fair bit depending on how far they are from you. But for the most part, medium pen on the wings. As far as stratagems on your support weapons, I found that the best overall ones was like laser cannon. Laser cannon destroyed them. It kind of reminded me of like launch gunships for the automatons and like how much better it was. Very easy to kill it with the laser cannon. Very surprised at how fast it was. Auto cannon with the flak rounds, very consistent. It was like 3 shots on average, and it's very easy because the flak rounds are proximity based, so you can kind of miss and still do a lot of damage to them. You can snipe them with like AT weapons, but I wouldn't really recommend it. The travel time can be a little bit obnoxious, and the shields may absorb it. Also, because of the angles, a lot of people were telling me that they were sometimes getting deflections, so be careful of that. Anti-material rifle is very good. Machine gun in general, boost this up to the highest fire rate. Shoot the wing, you should be able to kill them in 1 pass. Very good. HMG also very strong, same kind of thing. Boost the fire rate, shoot at their wings. Commando, fairly good. Typically around 2 shots, but because of the travel time on the rocket, sometimes it could be a little hard, but your mileage might vary. Wasp was like 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Very consistent. Another shining example of where the Wasp is like performing really well on the Illuminate missions. Railgun was okay. Typically around 2 shots, but just keep in mind that like you're gonna have to start pre-charging essentially, because it's gonna be really hard to snipe them when they're going like 1,000,000 miles an hour away from you. They are fast once they are doing their circle around for another pass. Spear, I believe, did 1-shot them, but I believe a teammate did help me take out the shield first. So your mileage may vary on that one. I don't know if it'll kill it through the shield on 1 hit. You can kill it with a strafing run. If you don't have the modifier for the 50% call-in speed, you can in fact just kind of like you can in fact just like line it up with where they're coming in, and then they'll like strafing run each other. It was kind of funny. I don't know if my editor has the clip of it, but it actually did happen in my last game. It was pretty fun. But other than that, most stratagems are not going to be good. Your turrets will try and shoot at it fairly successfully, but they'll usually be shooting at something else, so they're not a super consistent way. And also, the ship moves so damn fast that there's a good chance that it might not work. HMG emplacement works well, quite well in fact. Fast recon using the HMG on the back. You might be able to get the 110mm rocket pods to track onto them. That would be an interesting one to test. I have not tried that. Like I said, laser cannon's fantastic. Arc thrower could do some chip damage, but I couldn't see it being super good. Quasar, similar issue to the other anti-tank weapons, because it has some sort of shield element to it. It might not one-shot it every time. Emancipator exosuit and Patriot exosuit worked fantastic. No problems there. Anti-tank emplacement should be fine with 2 shots, as long as you don't get strafed while doing it. And I guess if you're crazy enough, you could use a portable hell bomb if you armed it at the right time and it exploded as it flew over. I guess it would work. But anyways, the Interloper for the most part is just like pay attention to where it's circling around. Sometimes it immediately goes for a strafing run, but you can always dodge it. You just need to pay attention to where it's coming around. I recommend pinging it, like do your Q to ping so you can watch it and track where it's coming around. And then as soon as you see it line up, run perpendicularly, left or right, whatever. And then once you see it firing, you know you're clear. That's when you start firing at it to take it out. You can, you know, stare it down the barrel and like try and kill it before it gets to you, but it moves pretty fast, so careful. They do seem to be pretty rare though. I do hope they either make them a bit tankier or add more of them to the missions, at least from a level 10 player's perspective. It felt like they were so rare that like, and they died so fast that I like barely saw them. They were really hard to test against, and some of this information might be outdated by next week just because I wasn't able to run into very many after 30 missions. They seem to not spawn enough. Sometimes you get like more than one at a time, which is pretty cool. But once again, if you have the right weapon, which it's pretty easy to have the right weapon at the moment, because so many of the good weapons versus them are already good at Illuminate, that they just kind of fall over. So anyways, hopefully this video was helpful. Please support the channel by dropping a like on the video and subscribing if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, let me know down below what you thought about the video. How are you guys dealing with these enemies? If you guys have found any information, please feel free to share it. But for the most part, I think we will be learning more about these enemies over time. I'm really curious to see, especially for the flesh mob, like how does the eyes mechanic really work? Is there a natural weak spot? Is it really just a DPS enemy? Like you're just supposed to like do as much raw damage as possible to take it out? Or is it really just they're supposed to be weak to explosive damage and shrapnel, and that's really what they're for? I don't know. But I'm really curious to know what you guys think of the enemies. What do you think? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye, YouTube. Peace.